What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Healing Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Shonda, ancestral medium and movement healer. And in this podcast, we are bringing you everything tips, tricks, support, and community when it comes to living a healing lifestyle, healing and navigating your day-to-day life. So I'm excited because I have one of my besties, one of my closest friends. I know. I was like, I have the one and the only Bethanie Mangigian. She's everything. I'm biased, but I'm not biased. Bethany is a licensed clinical social worker. She is a collage artist. She is a EMDR and EFT specialist and therapist, from couples to families to individuals. You name it. She has the heart space and the capacity to work with it. So I am just so happy and excited for you being here with me today.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Yeah.
I feel like people are just going to hear what we do every
day. Yes.
Yeah. Just
This is basically what you're going to feel when we run into each other during the week. We're going to be drinking tea. So if you hear slurping sounds, that's what it is.
Not sorry.
Yes, we're drinking licorice and peppermint tea.
It's good.
Yes, for our hearts and our throats. And today I really asked Bethany to come on because in our personal conversations, I feel very honored and privileged to be able to call her friend. She is one of the people that is the friendships that I feel like some people don't know they need, but also feel so blessed to have. The friend that's like, I think you're amazing, but also can we look at it like this? I think you're brilliant. But let's unpack that. Let's
I think we do not let either one of us get away with anything.
No, we do not. We do not BS each other at all. It's like, I hear you, sis, but also maybe.
How do we love into your highest self now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think what you're trying to say, what it sounds like. So it's definitely one of those friendships. And one of the things that have been coming up for us, and I was like, yo, this needs to be an episode.
Yeah.
Because we both have been through so much when it comes to loss and grief, expansion, relationships, is this concept of asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us are very hyper independent.
Yes.
I'll do it myself. But because of our healing journeys, we both have understood and have come to understand the importance of community and the importance of allowing yourself to receive support, to receive love, but also the importance of needing to feel safe.
Yeah.
In order to do that, and in order to feel like you get to be raw and vulnerable and transparent. And so I wanted us to come and have you talk about that, because I feel like listen, Linda, I feel like that's but we're here together.
Okay. You may have to hold my hand.
But I got the questions. Okay. I'm right here for you.
Okay, thank you.
But really for people who are on their healing journey, when you start healing, you begin to lose relationships that you feel like may have relationships that felt like lifetime relationships, and then you begin to heal. You begin to uncover that some of them may be trauma bonds. You begin to uncover that some of them were there out of obligation, and that at the end of the day, when we're looking at healing and we're looking at spirituality, some of them were really just there to be your teacher and teach you a lesson, and now you're moving forward and it hurts. You're moving forward and it hurts to trust again, right? You're moving forward and you don't know if it's safe to build new relationships because a part of you is like, well, are you lifetime? Are you seasoned? Are you for the moment?
There's all that, but it's also like, I don't know who I am anymore because like I'm moving differently and I have changed. And so now I'm like, how am I selecting friends? And like, what is that based on? Because the whole paradigm I was using for it no longer applies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hey girl, hey. So I'm going to try allow for us to have this like organic, structured conversation when it comes to that. So I want to start with like, what does help mean to you? And then what does help look like to you?
What does it mean and what does it look like?
Yes.
Well, drink up. I'm going to be talking for a while. No. I think what help means to me is like in the moment I'm realizing I feel overwhelmed and knowing, okay, like what's in my toolkit? How do I resource myself? Have I turned to the things that I can do that feel like I'm caring for me and nurturing me? But then if I keep hitting a wall there, and if I'm like, wait, actually I need this other thing, like sometimes the help is outside of me, right? Like I'm like, I'm trying to connect with my higher power, like I'm trying to pull my tarot cards, like I'm sitting here and I'm in my blanket or I took my bath and I'm drinking my tea, like I'm doing everything right.
I journal.
I
put the crystals on me.
I went to 8,000 types of therapy. I danced with Sean. Like I did it all, but but actually it's those things. It's the like, what help means to me is like knowing that if I'm feeling really alone, that's a choice that I'm making. I don't have to be alone. In any given moment, I can really be thinking about how to connect with myself or how to ask for the kind of connection I need from other people. Right. And so that connection could take the shape of like, hey, I'm having a really hard time like cooking. I'm feeling depressed. And is there anybody who could share a meal? But it could also be like, my body feels really like it's holding so much tension. And so like, can you help me dance it out? Right. And I think like even my relationship to help seeking only really came when, I went through these losses and felt so overwhelmed. I was like, oh, I don't actually like my coping. I have surpassed that. And so even coming to you and being like, hey, can you help me move my body and doing certain types of things? Like I remember at one point we were doing like strength training and we were like lifting and I was like, I hate this. This is not the thing. I need something different. And like, just knowing like what help meant for me in that moment was you being like, cool, let's pivot. Actually, like there's nothing that you're bringing that we can't figure out together. So to me, like help is the experience that you have either through connecting deeply with yourself or with another person or like, there's nothing too big to handle anymore. Like we got this, we're going to figure it out together. And I think you can get that through a therapist. You can get that through healers. You can get that through yoga. You can get that through family members. You can get that through a like pasta Italian Sicilian night down the street at Vaughn's. Like you can get it anywhere. Like it's just, do you know when you're at your limit and can you ask for it?
So
I don't know if that answers
no, yes.
question.
I'm like, now let's just talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So how would you help people identify what are the signs of being at your limit?
Yeah. We were talking about this earlier.
Yes.
It's like, oh, was I feeling a little irritable today? Was that?
Don't call me out like that. Don't call me out like that.
Just did that to you. I'm so sorry.
So I'm here for it. And I'm like, oh, that's what that was. So I went home and took a nap. Yes.
Okay, it's like maybe the thing I put it through is almost like fussy baby translator. It's like, it's like, how do I know when I need help when I'm like wilding out with no like I don't have if I really am like, okay, let me ask myself all my basic questions of like, did I do this thing? Did I do it? Like, and I can't discern really like why. I'm just feeling I might need help. Like, I just might need help. I think it's for me. It mostly comes at that point where you're like, I don't feel like I have insight into this.
Like I don't even know where to start.
I don't know where to start.
Or what's even going on with me?
Like rage. Just absolute lack of energy, just total like depression. That feeling of being overwhelmed, of like just like paralysis, like I can't make decisions, like I got what do I do? Like any of those kinds of emotional experiences like will tell me, oh, I need some help. Like I have my own tells too. Like if I'm not making my bed every day, then I know I'm in a harder week for me.
Yeah.
If I'm not making art at all, not even a little bit, and it can look different, but if I'm not doing that, that's usually like how I know something's off with me. And so I would encourage people like checking in with like, what do I usually feel like at my baseline? What is my baseline like? What are the things I'm usually doing when I'm feeling like I'm in a resourced, healthy state? And if I'm feeling really far away from those things, or I feel like I'm showing up in relationships in ways that feel like unlike my core values, then maybe I'm realizing I'm like hitting the help point. But I think even to get there, like as I'm saying this, I'm realizing like, oh, Dan, like you already kind of have to know what some of your values are.
Yeah.
Like, so
there's some base work.
There is. There's a little bit of like you, and it's okay to show up and be like, I have no clue, whatever. Like, I just feel bad. And that was what brings a lot of people to therapy is I don't know what's wrong. I just feel like crap.
And I think it's also like from hearing you say that, it was like the first thing I thought of was, yeah, because when you know your values, right? So that could be something that for people to journal about too. What are my like top 5 values? And values meaning like what I really, the life I want to live, the life I want to have. What are my like non-negotiable, right, essences of like what I want in my life? And then also just from like what we were talking about, knowing what you need to feel nourished and to feel like your full self. So then you can know what holes you need to fill, what voids you need to fill. Because for me, I notice it.
Yeah, what's your tell?
Oh, child. Okay, so my tell is when. Now listen, I love a good coffee shop stop. You know how I feel about my coffee shops and my chai lattes.
Yes.
However, there can be a point where it could get a little reckless for me.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah.
Because what happens is I don't just stop for the chai latte. I wind up I get the chai latte and then I get lunch because then I didn't meal prep.
Yep. That's so
I
true.
did everything for the boys, but I didn't mother myself. Right? And so now I have nothing to eat. It's 11 o'clock. I've taught 3 classes.
Yep.
And I'm starving, but I also want something fresh. I love going to coffee shops where they know me. They know what I use. They know you already know. Already know. They know my order because I know that I still take very seriously what I eat and who's making it.
Yeah.
So then what had happened was I noticed that when I've been there a couple more times than my usual like 1 or 2 week situation. Because I have things that I'm like financially saving for, right?
Right.
And so then I notice when I start spending to nourish myself, that's when I know something's off. When I'm scrolling Amazon for clothes, I know like there's a void that I'm trying to fill. There's something off.
Right. And I would even
I'm wrong with scrolling Amazon for clothes.
We love shopping. It's okay.
Because I got my list. We love shopping. But
it's
I know.
Like capitalism.
Okay.
Here we are.
But I also know though when it's like 11 o'clock at night and I'm just like trying to find things that would excite me or make me feel good. And I'm spending in the coffee shops. Ooh.
Yeah. What else?
When I start craving sweets, which is a sign that your heart chakra is not feeling loved when you start craving sweets. Yeah. So when I start really wanting specifically cookies, when I want cookies,
it's comfort.
All the time, I know that there's a part of me that is not feeling nourished or loved and supported.
Yes. Sure. And this is like the gift of who you are is you can clock that and you can identify that and then do something with that information, right? And I think sometimes a lot of us are just so overwhelmed that we're not able to slow down enough to even realize what you just said, right? Like, but as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, if I'm going to Old Navy, I'm like, ooh, I went and I just wanted to buy clothing, right? Or, I'm watching a lot more TV at night to calm down because I'm not really feeling like I can be with myself.
Yeah.
I'm like wanting to get away from my experience. And so I'm distracting, but I'm not doing it in a way that's actually like filling my cup back up or getting me to better than before. It's like, nope, I'm just doing enough to get to bed to get to the next day.
Exactly.
And hope that I slept well enough that it's giving me some kind of reset.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But that's not really enough. And I think, especially for anybody who listens to this, who's doing healing work for other people, we are then holding, I think, a deeper responsibility.
Well, because you got to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You gotta practice it.
You gotta walk what you're talking.
Not only that, but because I actually feel like physically incapable of doing what I know
exactly.
I'm meant to do if I don't.
Because usually you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think, so for anyone listening, it's like, know what your tells are. Know what those habits are. Knowing, again, like if you're feeling irritable, you're feeling on this like brink of depression, maybe your spending has increased, maybe you're craving company that you know you wouldn't crave.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Under any other circumstance. Like now you want to go hang out with this person, but you know it's been 6 months and you ain't been rocking with them for 6 months. You don't want their company, baby. Yeah. You want company.
You want company. It's not
but you're seeking something old and familiar, and all of that is for a reason too, right? So if we know that, right, and then we go, I should probably ask for help, whether that's calling your 18 that's going to get you up off the sofa, calling that friend that's going to help, get you together. How does someone overcome that part of the ego that says you need to get through this by yourself? They won't understand. What could they possibly have to offer you to help you? We don't need people in our business like that.
Ooh, yeah, there's so many blocks, right? And I'm thinking how much it makes sense because some people...
Or just straight up shame, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. But that experience of like, can I trust that people are going to be there for me? Actually, like a lot of people haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
And their lived experience doesn't say that like when I'm really struggling, people are there in that moment. And so I think it's even harder, to know like where could I get those needs met. And I don't know, I think one expression that stays with me is this concept of like, we are not responsible for our pain or what's happened to us, but we do have to learn how to be responsible to it. And so it's how am I being responsible to my own pain and attending to it and nurturing that. And I think that barrier in asking for help it can be high, but there's no one who doesn't need help. There is not a single it's a falsehood that we can be hyper independent. And I think we often think like, oh, if I just have enough money, I can insulate myself from needing other people, or I
won't get hurt or abandoned.
Right. But that doesn't really feel like the kind of emotionally fulfilling life that I would want to have, right? Because if I'm putting the walls up to keep out that rejection or betrayal, I'm also keeping out connection and care and affection. So I think maybe the one way to get buy-in around like, hey, if you ask for help, it could feel really scary and you could get hurt, but you could also get something really precious that you've never gotten before, right? Just someone who really helps you feel witnessed. And I am not just talking about like asking for help with therapy, right? Like you were saying, it could be your auntie, it could be your, like someone who is in a faith community that you're part of, or for me, it's like maybe I go and hit up someone from yoga. I don't know. I also think it feels really hard sometimes to be the person to ask for help. I feel like I've always been this helper, right? Like I was babysitting when I was a really little kid. Like I was like, why are people leaving me alone with their children at age 11? That should not have been happening, right? Like I would have reported that. It's now, it's whatever. But like that identity was so rooted for me of being a helper that like having experiences where I was like, oh wait, no, I'm the one that's having the hard time. It felt like it was like clothes that didn't fit. It just didn't feel right. And I did feel a lot of shame, but I'm so grateful that I was able to get through that and actually get help, because now it just like helps me be way more available when other people do need help. Like I get it. I get the emotional risk of it even more so. And I think that like when you're really stuck in your own pain and you're in this narrative of like, oh, like I'm suffering, actually one way you can also help yourself is go help other people. Go be of service. You're stuck in your own pity party. Like, okay, go volunteer somewhere, go do something that makes someone else's life better and connect with what it means that person is entrusting you with their suffering. And maybe that can be a teacher for you of like knowing how I could get a little bit closer to that.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's just one thing that's coming to my mind.
No, but that makes sense. When you were saying that, that's literally what I was thinking. That's something that that I've been taught a lot in my life is like, just go when you step out of your ish, right?
Yeah.
And you go serve others, you go volunteer, you go give of yourself. You go give what you have. And a lot of times what you have, one of the most precious things you have is your service and your time.
Right.
It's usually in those moments that you meet someone.
Yeah.
That you hear a story.
Yeah.
That someone shares something with you that literally shifts the trajectory of what you were feeling.
Yeah.
And it shifts your like entire mood. The other thing that was coming up for me when we were talking, I heard like also remember that if you are someone who has been on a healing journey, that yes, this may have been the results of your relationships in the past. They may have been abandonment, it may have been rejection, all of these other things. But as you continue to go on your healing journey, you will begin to attract something different. It won't mean that it's perfect, but based off of what you attract will always mirror where you are, right? So you can, right? So
that truth is a hard one sometimes.
It is, because when it get mirrored back, you be like, damn, I thought I was further.
Oh, that's
what
where
that was. That's where we at.
Okay, yeah.
Got a little bit more work to do, right? But when you have those moments, you have those I don't want to call it rare finds, but you attract those really special relationships at the right time.
Yeah.
Then what I'm finding is that even the relationships won't be perfect, but they'll feel safer than what they were than the ones that may have fell by the wayside, before.
Yeah, and I think like that's highlighting for me too, just like the sense of community and like finding people who I remember like I was on David Kessler does a lot of work with grief. He worked with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who developed, the 5 different states of grief that isn't always like understood in the way that it was originally intended, but he, added on to that paradigm. And I was on one of his like grief forums online, and he was saying, stop trying to talk to people who have not been through like major grief experience. Stop going to those people with your grief. Go find the other grievers. Go find the other mourners, the people who are in solidarity, who are like in some community with you around this experience, because they are just going to get it on a cellular level that other folks can't get it. So I do think that part of us get this message, well, I can't ask for help because look what happened when I did, or it wasn't what I wanted. But that's because we maybe don't always know what kind of help we need or the right spaces to go and get that support, right? And so if you're going, to someone who's walking a really different path and who has really just zero lived experience or context for your world, that kind of sounds like a setup for a miss, right? For an empathic miss.
Oh, that's good.
That's not even mine. That's my friend Claudia. You know Claudia.
Yeah, I'm like, Claude. Shout out to Claude.
Shout out to Claude. So she once said that to me. I was telling her a story. She was like, that's such an empathic miss.
That sounds like Claude.
I know. Well, and that has really stayed with me because it did just help me think about, like, this is like people who are existing on different planes sometimes. There's nothing good, bad, right, wrong about it. It's just like, no, you just don't know that experience, or I don't know your experience, and so maybe we're gonna miss each other here. Right. But if I'm in a really tender, raw place with that, and I need the like person who gets it, let me try to seek out those spaces and those faces. And like one of the greatest things that I've received in just like the wake of several losses is a grief community, and we get together once a month, and there are like 10 of us. And this month it was a potato palooza. It was a potato themed potluck, which is so random. But we got together, we feed each other, and literally like nourish one another. Yeah. And we talk about grief, and we have a space where we just hold like, how's your grief this month? Like what's coming up for you with where you are? And even though I never knew any of these people prior to this group, like we were all strangers, we have completely different stories and lives. Like we all have this one shared experience of a profound loss, or multiple losses, and that is the thing that we can see each other
hold space.
Yeah, and hold space in a different way, and it's been like incredibly anchoring in a community where I otherwise don't have a lot of friends who have similar experiences with loss that I have.
I love that. When you said that, it made me think of I'm in a cultivation residency program, and I remember feeling like that when a lot of us, my classmates, shout out to the Material Institute, we all talk about that, how when we first kind of got put together, because we did like the interview process and all these things, and then they picked who they thought would be a good fit as a cohort together. Cool. And we all get in this space. I think some people kind of already knew each other. There's a few of us who were like, this is my first time even in this type of space where we're talking about community gardening, we're talking about herbalism. We've just kind of been in my own little silo, here and there connecting with people, but never like fully immersed in this community. And now I get put in this room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are like people who look like me. And I don't have to explain what crystals are, because everybody in here got some type of I remember we all were saying we had this feeling where we were like, where have you been my whole life? And are you sure you live in New Orleans? Because I have not. Like,
how did we not find each other?
How did we not know? Right. And so it really, for me, it was and I think we all kind of attested to this at the end of last semester. We were like, this was healing on such a deep level when it came to feeling safe in community about who you are, about all of who you are, and not having to feel like you have to sugarcoat a certain aspect of who you are because of because of who you're in the room with. And so for me, that was so healing, because like how we said at the beginning of the episode, I'm changing and evolving and becoming this whole different version that I didn't even know was going to exist.
Right.
And so now how to, what does community look like in that kind of, that space for people who have these same shared experiences and who get it, who understand, and who can hold space for you as you still navigate that. And, for me, I feel like they definitely are a nice part of me feeling comfortable to ask for help. Me being like, I don't know this herb. Does somebody, know this, and this, and not feeling like, well, I don't want to ask this because it ain't, I don't want to I don't know what I'm doing. And it's so safe to where we're all like, child, we gonna figure it out together. Like, it's very refreshing. But I think if I wouldn't have open my mind or my heart up to just let's just see where this lands, I think, because I know me, right?
I mean, that's a question I have for you, is like, how did you allow yourself to drop into that vulnerability? Like, what was it? Or even I'm thinking, like, what were the structures or the things that made it possible for you to have that experience of safety to do that with this group?
I think I was at a point in my life where I basically had either pushed away or lost all of the relationships in my life that I thought were going to be lifetime relationships. Wow. So I feel like I was sitting in this space of feeling super raw when it came to like core relationships. Like they were like relationships that really I had attached my identity to. Because I had known them essentially my whole life. And so now it's like, who am I now without these relationships, and also honoring who I'm becoming in the process. And so, me being me, I meditated and pulled a card, and I was like, why am I like, what is the lesson? That's what I asked. I was like, what's the lesson of me being in this space? And the card I pulled was communication.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay,
I'm being challenged. I'm being called to open up.
And I think a lot of the things I'm learning is how to be okay with saying my opinion, giving my thoughts, not allowing myself to feel like, well, I'm doing too much, I'm saying too much, let me not make nobody mad, I don't want nobody to take this the wrong way. Like, being so in my head about how I'm being perceived.
Well, it's hard to grow if you're in that space.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because how am I supposed to kind of fail and fail forward if I don't iterate, right? Like I have to be able to put something out there and you help me edit, right? Or you tell me that's not the right way to be thinking about this, Bethany. Like you're actually missing this entire analysis. And then I'd be like, oh, what? Like,
right.
Okay,
and then healing from that
it.
people pleaser part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's usually what I'm used to. I'm used to being able to, I could diplomat the hell out of any situation, right? And know how to come out unscathed. Like that's basically been my entire, that's been my entire life, right? People pleaser, move the way you need to move, make sure everybody's good.
Yeah.
Say, don't say, agree, or just be quiet, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think this gave me because when I pulled that card, I was like, okay, there's an opportunity here to be truthful and to be honest and to be me.
Yeah.
And let's just see where that lands. Because I don't know these people. And I don't have to see them no more after this either.
Great.
But then it turned into something really beautiful. And we always, it's funny because we all be like, man, we locked in now. Like, because we've experienced so much as a cohort. We've shared so part of ourselves. But I think the precedence, what I think was really important too, is that our instructors allow for us to set the ground rules.
Oh, yeah, like you got to decide.
We got to decide as a group, but everybody wrote down on the paper, like what their kind of like non-negotiable like expectations were. And we were all kind of on the same page. It was like, don't judge me.
Yeah.
Like, let me, no question is stupid, like meet me where I'm at. Like, we're all going to meet each other where we are. So it was these principles that was set, this foundation that was set for us, that I think it really made really beautiful space for us to feel like I could even come. Like sometimes we come in and one of us be like on the brink of like, yo, I ain't got it today. And then we go, let's hold space for you. And then we'll ground as a group.
Yeah.
We'll and everyone brings their gifts to pour into that person before we even get to learning anything. And I think just that has been very magical, which made me be like, there is something really powerful in like being able to ask for help and being in community, that when I look back on the relationships that I pushed away or that I lost, was like, damn, I really wasn't appreciating like what I had or what had been like fostered. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Sure.
But also being able to look back and having compassion for myself of like, oh, and it also helped me get out of victim mode too.
Yeah.
When I look back on those relationships and understanding like, wow, there is a strength in asking for help and allowing yourself to be vulnerable with people. But then the other side of what I thought and what Spirit shared with me was like, yeah, but you felt safe to do it though.
And part of it is like, this is a skill, and to be in a space where people like will attune to you and you're like that example of I don't got it today, like, and for someone to make that okay and to say, yeah, of course you don't have it. We can't have it every day. Like, so much of this to me is like just the lessons we get taught about like safety to fail or safety to not conform and perform in a really specific way. And so like if we can cultivate like the superpower of self-attunement, then we have such a better and attunement to other people, then we have a better ability to give and receive help. Right? Like, if there is that permission to say like whatever you need here is okay, there's no right, like then that helps like maybe those people pleasing parts quiet down. Or like I have found, especially like reflecting on relationships that are no longer in my life, right? Oh, I was applying a certain degree of force in this, or maybe I was showing up in a space that, or like in a shape that didn't fit me, right? Like part of it was I wasn't able to really check in with like, what's the balance of my giving in this relationship? Am I giving too much, or am I not able to be authentic and honest about like what I need from them? And so actually like the best relationships to me are the relationships where I can ask for help and people feel that they can ask me for help, like that are reciprocal, where we are like, cool, we're gonna disappoint each other too. And like that experience of learning how to tolerate disappointment in relationships without that having to completely destabilize them.
Yeah.
Like, that's been a big part of, like, it being okay or being okay to ask for help is like, hey, like, we're all gonna feel failed in relationships sometimes. But, like, can we come back to the table? Do we have a process of coming back to repair? Do we have a process of, like, hey, I asked you for help and it didn't really feel great for me. Oh gosh, how did I miss you? Tell me more about it. Can I show up differently for you? Like,
a conversation,
which requires everybody to be doing their work.
Listen, Linda.
I know. Yes. Not everybody ready.
I had an old mentor who used to say, everybody invited, but everybody can't come. You know, so you got to be ready. You got to be ready. But I think that goes into alignment.
Yeah.
Going into safety. So I do want you to talk about that a little bit. This, I know, girl.
No, what does it mean? Yes, I don't know what it means.
Yes. But I want us to talk about that safety part. Because I feel like if you don't feel safe, there's going to be a part. If you don't feel safe and you force yourself to ask for help, right? There's this tug of war within. Ooh. That are you betraying yourself by not honoring this intuition that's telling you you don't feel safe, this ain't the person to ask. How do you gauge safety when in relationships or in community when it comes to someone internally feeling ready or courageous enough to go, hey, I don't even know what I need, but I need help.
I really do. There's such wisdom in our bodies. And so when my body is telling me, and I'm getting like an ick, or I'm getting a like, don't go here. I mean, I have to have a process around that, because if I don't, then that could just be my general anxiety that's saying like, we feel stressed out about this. But also, I think many of us have learned that sometimes we're mistaking anxiety for intuition or intuition for anxiety. Sometimes that gets a little bit muddy, right? So I think that is where, like, coming back to this idea of like what our core values are and how we operate with them really matters, so that we can say, well, this feeling I'm having, how does that come back to like what I value and where I'm feeling a mismatch? Or if it's in alignment with my values, is this maybe some anxiety that I need to push through so that I don't get into an avoidance cycle? But I think this other thing you're saying of like, what do you say to the person who's like, I don't feel safe, I don't know. Like, actually, that is wisdom. If you do not feel safe, it is possible that that person that you're considering approaching has not earned trust from you for you to feel safe, right? And so what I think about is, I don't think like any one of us really got a lot of formal schooling in the idea of like, here's how you develop trust. We talk so much about trust, and like it's the currency of relationships, right? But how do you actually break down developing a trust process, right? My favorite way of thinking about trust is this trust equation. It says trust equals doing what you say you're going to do divided by time. And so I would say, like, it's important to be observant. If I'm thinking, you know, could I go to this person? Should I go to this person? How are they with other people? How do I see them moving through the world? In the past, if I've asked for something, do they kind of flake out at the last minute? Do they show up consistently? Do they seem to honor commitments that they make? You know, are they reliable? Are they present and engaged? Like, that's what I'm thinking about or looking for. Is it's actually okay if you're like, I don't actually really have the evidence yet to know if this person is trustworthy. How do you develop it? Are there little tests? And I don't mean tests like you're trying to catch someone. I just mean
observation.
Can we make a little foray into an experience that could build trust? And then from that, there's a foundation, and then we can build more trust, and we can build more trust. Or we could try these things, and you show me you're not someone who may be worthy of earning my trust in this way right now.
I love that. I'm like, yeah, we weren't taught how to trust.
No.
Communicate.
We're just like, go on vibes.
Build relationships.
Go on vibes.
We're like, just follow your heart.
Yeah.
You know, or your mind. Depends.
Right.
But yeah, no, I love that. I'm like, okay, yeah. But it also makes me think, like, also honoring the body too. Like, your body, I always say your body's your bestie. Your body not gonna lie to you. So if you are thinking about sharing this and your body's going into this survival panic attack shutdown, like, that ain't it.
Yeah.
That ain't it. And then I was also thinking, like, there's this difference too around, do you feel safe to ask this person for help, or are you afraid of being seen?
Yeah.
So allowing yourself to know the difference, because if you're just afraid to be seen, then that person might still be safe for you to ask for help. It's just you having to get over, right? This internal fear of being seen as not perfect, being seen in your rawest state, but also being seen as just a part in a state of who you are.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's okay to be seen that way.
I wish we had just more. I mean, it's out there, but it just doesn't feel like the stories we see in mass media or in movies and books. And I want to see more messy, or just more human.
The process.
Right. Like the process. It's like, that's why we love, everyone loves a freaking montage.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We want to see the process.
Show us.
Show me from beginning to end.
The little frames of like, and now this person's doing this, and now they're running, and now they're like, I don't know, they look good and whatever.
And now they're fabulous. But there is something, like, I mean, I think, like, when we were growing up, like, watching, like, making of the video, right?
Yeah.
It was like when you watch the process, and then it's like they do that countdown, and then you see like the final project, and you're like, yo.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that all of this is like, oh, we need process and we need to be able to see this. But I think that, like, we're so afraid to be seen because we also don't see
other people's process.
Right. And we don't see struggle, or like, talk about it with Instagram or social media all the time, of like, if all you're consuming is like someone's perfect family photos where everyone is like coiffed and just, I don't know, Land's End energy, like what, I don't know, like, but if that's what you're seeing on your feed,
you're making that the expectation.
Yeah, it's the recipe for feeling bad about yourself. And we know that. This is not like a me thing. And anyone's going to resonate with that, but they're just like, no, we got enough data now. We have studies about this, right? And the impacts of that on self-esteem. And so what we have to look at is like, what is the content I am exposing myself to? Yeah. Am I like putting myself into spaces where people are open about struggle and open about process? Am I stepping into spaces where I'm around people who have the ability to be vulnerable? Because also it's really hard to push yourself to be vulnerable if you're in a community, family, friend group, whatever it is, like culture system, right? That does not value that. Yeah. Because then you feel like weak. Right, it's weak, and now I'm going against the grain, and something's wrong with me. Exactly. I feel like I'm the bad one. I'm the problem because I'm the one who's being open and talking about the hard thing. And so it's like, if that's how you're feeling, that's also some information for you about maybe needing to form different types of connections. Which is, it can be scary and challenging, but there can be such a relief and such. I so desperately want for everyone to have the experience of what it is like to be seen, but in that, to not feel rejected or abandoned, to have the experience of feeling like seen and so affirmed and appreciated. Yeah. Because I have had that experience in my body. I've had that in my friendship with you. I've had that in other close relationships. And that, I think, is the most powerful experience we can have, right? It's like, they say that the love's other name is understanding. Is when we allow ourselves to be seen, we are allowing ourselves to be understood by another person. And like, whoa. Yeah. Whoa. I will also add to that acceptance. Yeah. And accepted. Yeah. That's the right word. Yeah. For 100%.
Like, there's something powerful about accepting who you are and being really content with that. And then having someone else see what you know about you and they accept it too. It's like, oh, bonus. It's something very peaceful and grounding, because it's all like, yes, we're supposed to love ourselves first and foremost, not anybody outside ourselves, all the things. But there is something really beautiful about being held in community and accept it. Not saying it's supposed to be perfect. It's still not going to look like family, it's not going to look like
no, but
picture perfect. But there's just something beautiful about again having those foundational, that we're here to understand each other and to grow and to evolve, right. And so just show up with where you're at. And that's enough.
Starting from the place of acceptance, right? Like acceptance being the seed, because I think also if you're in relationships that are like challenging you or trying to help you grow, but you don't have the felt sense of safety or acceptance, then that just feels like attacks and criticism, and your system might not take that in. But it's like what we were talking about earlier. We'll call each other out, right? Like this is a friendship where there is enough goodwill, and like we are putting in the positive deposits because we see each other like striving and we know our hearts are full of love. But then also, if I'm like, hey, that's a little not
right.
Like,
not where we're going.
Then like I could hear feedback from you in a way that I probably can't accept from everybody, because I'll get defensive, and like, that's just part of my humanity. And so I keep working on, but like,
I say, excuse my human.
Yeah, excuse my human, right? But like, knowing that like change and growth happen from the place of acceptance, right? Like if I feel like I'm already enough, I'm already okay the way I am, and you love me the way I am, then I'm like, cool, I'm psyched. Let's keep growing. Let's
do this.
But if I am like fighting for love, and I'm like, love is conditional, my worth is conditional, then I'm just trying to survive in that dynamic. And I'm not even able to really like think about how to grow, because I just have to
get out of this moment.
Right. So.
Yes. So we're saying that to say.
Yeah, all
to say, when it comes to asking for help, there is power. In asking for help. There is strength in asking for help. There's peace in asking for help. But most importantly, there is a certain sense of freedom in asking for help. But there's some benchmarks to that as well. There's some benchmarks of safety. There's some benchmarks of trust. But one of the easiest ways to set that benchmark is listening to your body. And knowing when you've hit your threshold. If it looks like irritability, if it looks like too many chai lattes with lunch,
Old Navy,
if things start thingings, that it might be time to slow down and assess. It might be time to fill your cup. It might be time to pour into you. And if you don't feel like you have the strength or the capacity to do so, that's when it's time to call on your tribe. No matter what that looks like for you. Whether that's spiritual or support in different groups or organizations you're in, whether it's just a friend, whether it's a family member, whether it's a neighbor, whatever that looks like. Maybe you just go lay in the earth. The earth is a friend too. Go support. I just got that.
Being in nature. Nature is a resource and a place to get help.
Nature is 100%. Our friend. Okay. Nature is community. All right. So all of that, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you're going to see when you allow for yourself to go outside.
And I think...
And connect.
This piece you were just saying, like, there is a spiritual practice to asking for help, because it is just the understanding that, like, we are minuscule in this world, right?
It's bigger picture.
It's so much bigger than us. And there's so much that we can't control. And if we try to control it, we'll drive ourselves crazy, right? And so there is like, there's some levity, there's some joy, and there's almost the opportunity to connect with the world around us, something bigger than ourselves. When we can embrace, hey, like, this isn't something wrong. Like, of course everyone needs help. We all need help. And if we didn't need help, how the heck would we connect with each other? Right? Like, we need each other. We need each other. And it's okay that we need each other. I think sometimes it gets framed as like, well, if you need each other, then is that like codependent? Or are you just like leaning on other people to regulate you and you don't know how to be with yourself? And it's like, If we were supposed to be like completely independent, we'd be in pods. We would be on islands alone, and we're not. We are meant to be in community. Like, we are meant to be with each other. No one person, like, we lived in these nomadic groups of people for, thousands of years. We we've never been meant to be hyper independent. We have always been meant to call upon one another. And I think one last thing I'll say about this too is that, like, if you can do that and know where you need help and the people in your life who you can grow from and who have something to teach you, then also there's this sense of like, you're going to notice when people are coming to you and what they come to you for. And you can find, like, what's my role in this
community.
family, in this
community. Yeah, absolutely.
What's the special sauce that I bring? And how can I make, like, my life's purpose, like, really learning and leaning into that, sharing that with other people. And if I can focus on that, then I don't have to know everything, right? Like, I can let a lot of that go. Like, I'm like, I know that I don't need to know about cars, but like, I have people in my life, they could tell me how to fix a thing or do a thing for me on my car.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that. I feel really comfortable asking for help because it's not something I'm like particularly curious about, right?
Yeah.
But then there's maybe something else. Like if someone's like, I don't love to cook, I'm like, great, I can cook you something. I love to cook for people. Come over and I'm going to feed you. You don't need to be this amazing chef. Like, I can do that for you.
Community.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. The sum is greater than the whole of its parts. No, the whole is greater. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
We were with you.
Yeah.
We were with you.
You knew what I meant.
I knew exactly what you meant. And then we're right there with you.
See?
Listen.
I need help sometimes. Turns out.
We all do. Yeah. It's totally fine. Y'all, thank y'all so much for listening to today's episode. Bethany, thank you so much.
My friend. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love
people get to see the ish and giggles that we get to make. And also, if you're someone that's on your healing journey and you're thinking about how do you heal this wound around asking for help, this wound around abandonment, this wound around rejection, you definitely want to make sure that you're looking at your root chakra and your heart chakra. All right. Those are the chakras that you want to get into healing for yourself. Okay. And then I'm going to make some episodes about specific ways you can begin to heal those wounds. But you want to start with those chakras, okay? Whether it's working with your crystals, your herbs, meditations, working with the earth, whatever, sound baths, whatever that looks like for you. But those are the wounds that you want to begin to address so that you begin to not just know that you need to feel safe to ask for help, but that you can actually begin to embody on a cellular level the capacity to be able to ask for help and the capacity to be okay if someone says no. All right. So just some things to keep in mind as you continue to heal and move forward. Thank y'all always for listening, for staying connected. Keep going, keep growing, keep healing. And then I'll see you next time. Thanks.